Welcome to this video in which we are gonna see what is management consulting and who are the MBB. Well, this is the first video of management consulting case interview preparation, and I can promise you that in this video you will learn not only what is management consulting but also how to get an interview and a job in this very prestigious company. So let's start with this discussion, but another note that I want to do before we start going is that maybe in this channel you will not see fancy slide, a lot of editing, a lot of effort, music, and so on, but trust me, you will find all the information necessary in order to get an interview and to pass an interview and receive an offer from some of these prestigious firms. And believe me, everything will be shared, so stay connected, stay in touch, because everything you will see here will be more than enough to land a job in one of those prestigious firms. So let's start with today's agenda. This is like the first video, so we will do something that will be more or less an introduction about management consulting. Then we will talk about top management consulting firm, the career potential of joining one of these firms. As a fourth point, the skill required to succeed in this kind of work, and finally, what is the consulting lifestyle. So let's move ahead with the first point of our agenda, which is management consulting itself. Management consulting, if we want really to be very synthetic, I think that the best definition of management consulting could be this one. Management consulting is consulting for the top management of a company, addressing the most critical business problem. So we are talking about a very specific type of consulting. It's not IT consulting, implementing some particular software. It's not consulting for the sales force. It's not consulting for general administrative tasks, but it is consulting that it is done for the top management, so for the C-level of a company, and so for executive that have a very important role in steering the trajectory and the strategy of the company in the long term. And at the same time, this type of consulting is addressing not normal operational problem, daily activities, but the most critical business problem. And actually, this problem may be very different, and that's why management consulting can be divided into very different functions, from core strategy to operation to finance, marketing, or even IT, digital transformation. There are many more functions, of course, but you have always to keep in mind that the approach is an approach that is designed in order to address the most important problem that the company is facing in each of these functions. And of course, these functions are also tackling different industries, because management consulting is a skill, it is a work that is done not for a specific industry in general, but there are different, these can be applied to different sectors, so from financial services to manufacturing, consumer goods, energy, public sector, pharma, and many others. As you can see, usually all the top firms are organized in a matrix structure. So we have consultants that are tackling problem across a specific industry, but also at the same time a specific function. So, for instance, you may work for strategy for a bank, and this will be like the first box on the top left corner of this matrix. But you may also working for marketing for a consumer goods company. So it very depends. But at the same time, this matrix organization is something that it is important to consider as you progress, as you become more senior, because you may become an expert in one of the industry, or maybe in one of the function and be the expert of that function across several industries. So it depends on you, but I think that no matter what you will decide to specialize in, that will be anyway a very important step to achieve in your future career. So let's move on with the second point of our agenda, which is who are the top management consulting firm. And you have already known this name, the Big Three, or MBB, which is an acronym that stands for McKinsey, Boston Consulting Group, and Bain and Company. These are the three top firms in this space. And unfortunately, I have to say that these are the only real management consulting firm. Yeah, you can hear that management consulting is done also by the Big Four, but by other boutique firms. But actually, these are the only three big names that play in this space. They are the only name that attracts the best talent from business school, from the industry, and also they are the best companies in terms of the approach. How they approach this work, how they create a relationship with the companies that require their services, and also the way they approach the problem is totally different compared to any other consulting company. So this is why they achieved this status, and they deliver a great value, a great impact, and at the same time they can command for this reason a bigger premium on their services and on the consulting projects that they are charging on the clients. So let's start with analyzing McKinsey. McKinsey is the oldest one. It was founded in 1926 by James McKinsey. But at the same time, the key figure of this company is Marvin Bauer. Marvin Bauer was really the man that set this profession as the most different from any other profession. And I really suggest you to read more about Marvin Bauer because it can be really considered the founder of managing consulting and not only a key person for McKinsey. It is also the biggest company with revenue around 13 billion USD dollars and more than 35,000 employees that are scattered across 130 offices in 67 countries. So as you can see, it's a truly global firm. It is the first one, probably also the most prestigious one, but also the others are not less prestigious for sure. Let's move on with the second guy, which is BCG, the Boston Consulting Group, that was founded in 1963 by Bruce Anderson. As you can see, in terms of size, BCG has grown a lot in the past year, so they are kind of similar in terms of size compared to McKinsey. We are talking about 11 billion revenues with more than 25,000 employees scattered across the world in 50 countries and 100 offices. This is like the second big guy in this space, very prestigious firm. As you can see, is younger, but nevertheless they contributed a lot in terms of intellectual property, in terms of impact, setting the standard for the profession, and so on. Let's move to the third one, which is Bain and Company. As you can see, it is the youngest of the three, born in 1973, was founded by Bill Bain, who was actually working for BCG and for Bruce Anderson earlier. So Bain and Company could be like perceived as a spin-off of BCG, but a very different culture, a very unique culture, and something that went through very ups and downs during his life, but is now strong and growing. As you can see, the revenue is around 80 billion now, with 50,000 employees across the world in 60 offices spread in 40 countries. So these are the three players in this space. As you can see, they are big, but not as big as the largest corporate that you can imagine. And this is also a a consequence of the nature of this business, because they are playing in a very niche market. They are dealing only with executive, ideally with the CEO himself or herself of a company. So despite that the consulting industry is way bigger, if we are just talking about management consulting, the pure strategic business that is addressing the most complex problem of a company, well, in that case we are talking about a niche in consulting, but it's still quite big to attract a lot of talent, and the smartest guy in the business school and in the corporate world. So it is a very nice place to be there. So let's move on with the third point, which is the career potential. And here I can clearly see that management consulting is one of the best choices for learning and growth that you can do when you are out of, you have just finished university, or you have just worked for a couple of years and you wanted to switch into this kind of profession. Let's look first at learning and then at growth. So in terms of learning, I think that there are three important aspects to consider, and this is problem solving first, diversity second, and third, exposure. So in terms of problem solving, for sure this profession is a profession that is all about dealing with the toughest business problem, and so you will have exposure to the most challenging situation, and this will help you a lot to grow and to stress your brain power in order to find solutions to complex problems. In terms of diversity, you will work in very different functions for very different companies operating in very different sectors in a very compressed short time. And also this will be not only interesting because you developed cross-functional, cross-sector skills, but also because this diversity will be engaging on one side, but also reinforcing your business problem and your ability to become soon an expert in something that you didn't know anything about previously. So I think that also this diversity is not something that is truly interesting for someone that maybe is not really focused on a particular sector, but also is reinforcing the first learning point, which is problem solving. And then exposure. Exposure is interacting with C-level executive and the senior colleagues, so your manager, partners, and senior manager. So since the beginning, even if you are young and inexperienced, you will have tons of opportunity to interact with executives in corporate that are way older, way more experienced than you, and at the same time you will have the opportunity to interact with your colleagues that may be also more experienced than you, especially if you are talking about partners and senior partners. So this will make you grow fast a lot because you will have to manage the communication with these people that may be very demanding and also maybe always probing you, especially if you are young and you have to talk with the CEO of a company that is in their 40s, 50s, 60s. They will always question if you can do the job or not. So it will be very important for you to man up and to really be a good communicator, a confident communicator that has a lot of data analysis and material in order to back up the assertion that he's doing. So this concludes the learning part. Let's move to the growth part. Also in the growth part, I identified three aspects. The first one is the clear career path that you have, the exit opportunities after you will want to stop your career in consulting, and finally compensation. So in terms of career path, you will have a fast internal growth with the so-called up and out policies. So either you will grow or you will have to leave the company, which may sound tough for some culture, but is actually no, because anyway there are wonderful exit opportunities that you can have after consulting. So and you will also be helped to find a job and a life after consulting if you wanted to do so, or if you will be forced to do so because your performance is not what is required by the company in terms of standard of quality and so on. And it's very good that also the career path is already planned, so you will not fear the problem of feel or being stuck in a corporate in which there is no career trajectory, because here every 2-3 years you will have the opportunity to grow, and that will be almost automatically if you hit your target and you grow. So don't worry about that. If you get a job there, you will grow, provided that you will be able to deliver what is expected. Talking about exit opportunity, these are also really good because these companies has a strong prestige, and they are and the people that work for them, they learn a toolkit, a problem-solving approach that is really in demand by headhunter and corporate clients. So you can easily exit into a middle or senior management role in industry or a function in which maybe you have already worked as a consultant, by also leveraging clients relationship or alumni relationship. This will be very important because not only the brand that you have on your CV and the skills that you have in your bag, but also the network that you have built in and outside the consulting firm will be very important for your future after consulting. And finally, compensation. Here, salary and benefits are way above market average, depending even if there are differences across countries. This is the standard. Consulting pays more. At the same time, you will work more in terms of working hour. So I don't know, some people say that if you compute the dollars per hour that you will make in consulting, is not that much, but still in absolute terms is more than the average corporate role for the same seniority. So this will be very important also. And keep in mind that most of the time you will be traveling, you will be living in hotel. So even if the wage is already high, the fact that most of your expenses will be covered by the company will make your saving rate very high, and this may be very interesting as a compounding effect in the future. That's all in terms of these skills, in terms of this career potential. So let's move on to the next point, which is the skills that are required to succeed in a job like this. So, but first of all, I would like to stop you and to take a little bit of time to help me to support this channel. So I would like you to take some time in order to like this video if you didn't do that, in order to subscribe to this channel, in order to click on the bell, in order to activate the notification to do that. Comment here if you want to have more explanation about the topic that we have covered, or if you want also to have more information about a new topic. I may create a video for you in order to reply to any questions you may have. And finally, share this content if you think it was helpful, because help me to increase this channel, and also help your friends to know this channel and to learn more about management consulting. And this will be very important in the future, where we will share the technique in order to pass an interview. You will have the opportunity to share the information with also your friends, so you can practice together how to pass a case. So let's go back to the skills required to succeed, our fourth point in our agenda. And here, I think that there are both hard and soft skills that are necessary to become a very skilled management consultant. And again, I broke down the skills into three categories. First of all, analysis, second, communication, and third, behavior. So let's start with analysis. This skill can be further broken down into hypothesis-driven reasoning, business judgment, problem solving, and data analysis. As you can see here, we are not only talking talking about reasoning, crunching data, and so on. But there is also an important part of this analysis that is made by hypothesis-driven reasoning. So it's not only the how good that you are at reasoning, but also how you structure your reasoning. What is your starting point and your end point, and then the end point of your reasoning. This will be very important. And the second bullet point is business judgment. So being totally analytical, being able to solve a problem analytically is not enough to be a good consultant. You always need to include judgment. That is an important part of your recommendation, because most of the business problem that the company is facing are problems that cannot be solved with an equation, that cannot be solved with a computation, with something that a computer or a machine can do. Is something that always involve a strategic approach, that always require you to think in business terms, and also to make scenarios and opportunity. And so being well read, being always aware about what is happening in that market or in the world, what are the major trends, is something that is really important to know. So not only working on Excel, as you can see, not only doing crunching numbers or dealing with big data or any other fancy machine learning stuff, but judgment is also very crucial. Let's move now to the second point, which is communication. Here we can break down communication into three aspects: top-down synthesis, storytelling, and the client relationship development. So here communication is very important, because you have to deliver the message to the client in a very efficient way, but at the same time it has to be compelling. So you must be able to create a storyline that is able to convince and to persuade the client that the recommendation that you are doing is something that is worth pursuing. And along with this, there is also your ability to develop a relationship with the client that cannot only help to implement the solution that you are recommending, but also to create a lasting relationship that can help you to get more projects in the future for your consulting firm, but also on your personal level to create a lasting relationship with some executive that maybe could be helpful in the future if you wanted to exit from consulting and to find a job in the corporate world. And finally, behavior. Some people play down this aspect and think that is not that important, but actually it's very important. And here I broke down behavior into teamwork, resiliency, and enthusiasm. You have to think about that as a consultant you will work in team. So it is very important how you manage the dynamic of a team, how you get along with your peers, and how also you perform under stress, under a very intense workload, tight deadlines, and the need to be really careful about details and the way you communicate stuff. So in this environment that may be very stressful in some moment, it's very important to be the guy in the team that is always enthusiastic about the job, is never pessimistic, is always pushing people up and not down, is always empowering others and sharing happiness for what he's doing, and keeping in mind that the work he's doing is something that may have a very important impact on the client, and so he's always careful about keeping a good environment, atmosphere that can help the team to deliver better. You don't want to work until 1 a.m., 2 a.m. with some people that are very sad or very very they are in a very bad mood because they are stressed, because they are not sleeping enough, because they are traveling a lot, and so on. Keep in mind that also this is very important for your ability to stay in the long term in a consulting firm. And finally, we arrived to the fifth and last bullet point of our agenda, which is consulting lifestyle. Consulting lifestyle may be challenging, but is for sure rewarding. And in order to analyze the lifestyle, I wanted to consider some aspects. Let's start with the first: work, then client interaction, then colleagues, and finally traveling. So in terms of works, I think that you need to keep in mind first that the work is project based. You will have a fast exposure and also you will solve a lot of challenging problems. So in terms of project-based work, it means that you will work on the same issue during a project that may last from 8 to 12 weeks up to 9 or 12 months, because today there are also many implementation projects that are running way longer than the usual sprint, that is a very short 2-3 months project. But the fact that there is a project, it means that you are always working 100-meter race, one after the other. Is more like a continuous sprint with some interaction in the middle, but is something that may be interesting for some people because it's always changing very fast. And this applies also to the second point, so fast exposure. The fact that these type of project are kind of short in terms of duration, it means that you will work on different clients, on different functions of different industry in a very short period of time. You will gain not only experience in different sectors in a compressed period of time, but at the same time you will learn problem-solving skills that are cross-functional, cross-industry. So the type of reasoning that you will develop is something that will be a toolkit, very flexible and applicable to very different contexts. And this is the most important thing, because it means that you will become a core problem solver that is able to face different problems, and no matter the situation, find out what is the optimal solution for that problem. And this is also the third point indeed, because you will face very challenging, very difficult problem to solve, and at the same time solving this problem you will create a meaningful impact on the client, and in some cases also on societies and on people, if you are working, for instance, for public sectors for public sector companies and public sector entities. So this will be very nice, and also at the same time it becomes a sort of duty, because you know that your work will have a potential very positive impact, so it's better that you deliver a great work and great results. Moving to the second bucket, which is client interaction. So you will interact a lot with your clients because you need to collect information and data. So you will do a lot of surveys, interview and meeting with employees, managers and also executive of the company. But at the same time, you will develop strong relationship that could be helpful for you in order to develop even more the relationship with the client during your experience as a consultant. But also the relationship may become so strong and they may see in you a very potential future employee, a very talented candidate that they may ask to you and to your manager to hire you and to stay there to work as a full-time employee. So it's very important to keep this in mind. Moving to the third bucket, which is colleagues. Here I broke down colleagues into three different aspects. The fact that you can develop a real connection, that you will share a lot of work with them, and also that you will celebrate success. So in terms of the connection that you will be, this will be strong not only from a professional point but also from a personal point of view, because you will learn and other people around you will learn how skilled you are and how skilled they are, and at the same time what is your personality, how you work, how you interact with people, how you treat others. And so this will be very important to develop a really true and genuine relationship that may go well beyond your work and your professional life. This also will be strengthened by the fact that you will share a lot of time with them. You will be working late nights in the hotel until midnight, 1 a.m., 2 p.m. And so everybody will be there in order to push you for excellence, to deliver a great job, and this will will make your skills and your attitude shine even more if you take it from a positive side, because for sure some some work-life balance, your work-life balance in some moment maybe become a problem, but it is temporary, trust me. Everything will be balanced, and the people, your manager, your partner will make sure that if in some period you are stressed, you will also have moments in order to recharge and to recalibrate yourself and your personal life, your interests, your passion, your relationship outside of work. And finally, there will be not only work, but also you will celebrate, you will have team building activities, you have case team events, dinner, lunches. You will celebrate a success not only with your team, but also with your office and with the people of your seniority across several offices in the same region, in the same country, and so on. So there will be a lot of fun moments, a lot of fun activities that may create even stronger bond across your team. Moving to the final bucket, which is traveling. You usually will travel from Monday to Wednesday, and in these days you will stay in a 4-star hotel, and everything will be expensed in order to make sure that you will just focus on work, and you will not care about about where to eat, where to go, where to stay, and so on. On top of this Mondays to Wednesday traveling time, probably you will go back in the office Wednesday night, and on Thursday you will work from the office. On Friday you may also work on the office. Usually is the day in which everybody is in the office, so you can also build a connection outside of your team, but you can also decide to work from home, especially now after the pandemic, is something that is really standard. So there are some people that come back on Wednesday night, they work in the office on Thursday, and then they work remotely on Friday, which could be an help for you in order to have a better work-life balance. So this is something very flexible. You can discuss about it with your manager in order to make everything more sustainable and so on. On top of being in a 4-star hotel for most of the week, keep in mind also that you will be collecting points in the hotel accommodation in which you will stay for most of the week, and also you will collect points when you will be flying from one place to another, and these points will stay in your personal account. In some cases for your entire life, you will be able to expense them for your personal trips, your personal holidays with your partner, and so on. So this is a benefit that may helpful for you in order to enjoy moments outside of work. And that's it. So here are all the points that I wanted to cover in this first video. So just remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification by clicking on the bell, comment if you like the video, if you want to support this channel, or if there is something that was unclear and you wanted it to get it explained better, or if you have other questions about another topic that may be covered in the future by the channel, please leave a comment, and remember also to share it to the next guy, to your friends that may be interested in this topic and may become your buddy in the future to train how to get a job in consulting. In the next video, we are going to talk about how to get an interview in McKinsey, BCG and Bain, so stay tuned for it. This will be very interesting because it is different from what most of the people think, and getting an interview is very difficult, and at the same time the first crucial important aspect in order to get a job in McKinsey, BCG and Bain, because if you don't have interview, you don't have to prove to them that you are capable of being structuring, solving problems, and being a person that may do the job for this work. So that's all again for this video, and stay in touch.